thanks a million for coming on. It's great to get to talk to you. I was gonna like pretend I was like a I don't know, some kind of expert in global CrossFit all over the place, but it was actually the crispy dudes put me onto where after quarterfinals, I was talking to Callum and I was kind of talking about this is fun. I'm moving.
Sorry,
but I was talking to him about Laura Clifton, and then he was like, you know who you should be looking out for, and he mentioned you guys, and I'll just pull up the message because the stats he gave, because I was kind of aware of the girls from the games last year, and I was aware of the guys. I was actually aware of the guys mainly from their content last year around Torian, because they did a good bit of stuff with the two of you outside in like a warm-up area or something. I think there was a fair bit of stuff with the two Fowlers. But he sent me a lot of messages, and then he said they all qualified like comfortably as individuals for Torian. He has pegged as podium challengers. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yep, I would definitely. I would say so.
And what do you think puts you up there?
Why do you think he puts us up there?
Well, why? Well, you obviously agree. So him and you must see the same things that other people might not be aware of yet. What is it? Do you think that gets you that high?
I think consistency across the board. I don't think I'm necessarily going to win any workouts, but I also don't think I'd lose any workouts. I think it's that consistency, not having any humongous holes in the game. I think that, and especially that showed at Torian this year, being consistent is definitely worth more than winning some workouts and then losing other ones.
Yeah, it's the Panchik approach, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Did you enjoy Torian?
As a team, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And was that more enjoyable, say, like boys compared to last year as individuals? Do you enjoy it more? Is it like, I guess it's hard to separate the success. Like, it's hard to separate finishing on a podium and punching your ticket, but like, just as a general experience, did you enjoy it more?
I think it was different. I did enjoy it. I think it was a bit more relaxed because you had other people with you, so the pressure's not like all on you. You've got 3 others with you.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it was a little bit easier, like mentally.
Okay. Are you all from the same area in New Zealand?
Yeah.
And boys, do you own the gym?
Yeah, me and Ben.
Okay. And then, so girls, you were at the games last year, is that right?
Yes, yeah. Different team, different gym, but we moved to the shed just after the games.
Okay, and was that planned? Like, say, pre-games?
Maybe just before the games we knew we were going to move, and it was probably going to be the shed, so yeah.
Okay. I don't want to press too hard on. I wanted to add, look, we get on to CrossFit and stuff afterwards. So I have one question about the shed that's been burning a hole in my soul since I first became aware of you guys. Why is there such a big South Park mural on the wall? Usually it's like Tia or like Rich or something, whereas you have like Cartman, who I would not hold up as the height of fitness inspiration.
Icon of fitness.
Yeah, well, we just wanted something different on there.
It's definitely different.
And make it look a little bit brighter. And then we were talking at home, and me and Ben love watching South Park. So we came up with that, and we thought, yeah, that'll do.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
It was more for the colours, I think, than anything because it looked like a bit of a dungeon when we first moved in. So we wanted something bright and colourful on the wall. So we just kind of
why did you call it the shed? Why did you call it the shed?
You say.
Well, originally we moved from a town, so we were in like an industrial area, and then we ended up moving in like at the start of 2021, and we built. Well, our parents bought a lifestyle block, so we built the shed, the original shed on that section. So that's kind of where the name came from. It was built on our property, and then we ended up moving it, and we just stuck with the name.
Okay.
Since moving.
And never New Zealanders' use of vowels never ceases to it's just so funny. Accents are just fucking weird. Like, I'm sure you're thinking the same talking to me, but it's just so odd how people can speak the same language and have a totally different grasp of what vowel sounds like what, or if there is vowels in words. Like, it's funny.
We find it interesting here in America where they're like you said, they're speaking English, but it's completely different.
Yeah, I guess Americans are probably okay with you because there's a lot of famous New Zealand exports in like Hollywood, and like they've probably
for Australia mostly. So
yeah, I get that with a lot of guests come on and they'll say something about the UK and like gesture towards me, and I'm like, oh, do I correct them or do I just let it go? Yeah, it's like do you want to appear argumentative and say like, oh no, it's actually, sorry, it's New Zealand? Or do you just like let it go, and then is that unpatriotic to let it go? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Ben, you played rugby, is that right?
What was it, sorry?
Did you play rugby first?
Yeah, I played rugby until I think my last year was under 17, so I would have been 17 when I moved to CrossFit.
And what, like, because obviously rugby is a big deal in New Zealand. We'll get on to recent exploits soon. But is that like what like, can you equate the level you were at to a level in a different sport that people might understand?
It's hard to say because I was so young, so I feel like you never really know. But I played obviously club rugby, and then played for Ellesmere, which was a little region, and then played for Canterbury Country, which was, what would that be like?
A bigger region.
Yeah, I guess it's a bigger region. It's like smaller region, and then Canterbury Country, which is a bigger region.
Would that be the equivalent of like, say, provincial rugby in Ireland? Would that be the equivalent of like Leinster underage or that kind of thing? Or like, is it like, I assume it's really, really fucking difficult to make it in rugby in New Zealand. Like, you need to be properly fucking good. How far off, like, were you ever like, oh, I could probably, if I keep going, I could probably get there? Or was it easy to stop when you found CrossFit?
Well, I always thought I could make it as a rugby player, but I think just because of the age, it was so hard to tell. Like under 17, I was still a good 3-4 years out of even making an official like Canterbury team or anything like that. So it was. I always thought I could, but when I switched to CrossFit, I kind of just dropped the rugby altogether. Figured out.
And you took up CrossFit for like, it kind of augment your training in rugby, is that right?
Yeah. So during the off season in rugby, you don't really get a lot of. There is no training in rugby during the summer and stuff. So my coaches were kind of like, "Oh yeah, you guys should definitely join the gym, try and get bigger, whatever." During the off season, and my mum was doing CrossFit at the time, so I was just kind of like, "Sweet, I'll go work out with mum for a bit in the off season," and then ended up enjoying it more. So just.
Like at that age when you're playing rugby, is it just kind of you just don't turn up to training for pre-season, or do you have to have a conversation with someone and be like, oh, I actually kind of like the stuff that you told me to do, like on the side?
Season, so when I started CrossFit, I trained. I went to the gym with mum I think I did the 5:30 a.m. class. I can never do that now, but I did the 5:30 a.m. class with mum, and then I'd do rugby training after school. So I finished out the season and then just completely stopped. So I never had to actually, I guess, quit training at any point.
Yeah. And is there like a strong pull at rugby? Like, was there people like trying to guilt you to keep playing or anything like that, or is it kind of like just like, yeah, whatever?
A lot of my friends were surprised I quit, but I was surprised actually how supportive my mum and dad were, because I thought they would be more kind of like, oh, you should, stay with rugby, you're really good at it, whatever. But no, they were super supportive, so I never felt like guilty, I guess, for quitting and leaving.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like it was like your mum was to blame a bit, so she probably couldn't have been too pissed off.
Definitely to blame. Yeah, that's her fault.
And she got you into CrossFit as well, Luke, didn't she?
Yeah, so I was similar deal to Ben. I was playing football up until I was like 18. Then slowly started going with her, and then just enjoyed that better. By the time I went, I think Ben had been there for a few months before me, so he kind of taught me how to do most of the stuff. And then he was better than me, so I wanted to beat him, so it made it a bit more enjoyable. Yes.
Football, you mean like soccer football, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And were you any good?
Yeah, no, I was probably similar deal to Ben. Would make the Canterbury team, age group or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, I just hated the training. It was boring as. So, yeah.
Okay.
Stop.
Is that like just lack of variation, you think?
Yeah, it was like just defending practice all the time. And I played up front, I was bored as. And then the coach just yelled and screamed the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of if it's defending practice, like surely you were testing the defense. Were you not supposed to be trying to score if you're playing up front? Are you sure you weren't just doing the wrong thing and that's why you found it so shit?
Maybe. I don't know. It was just boring. I just started hating it and didn't want to go to any trainings.
So is your mom like the classic starts CrossFit and then doesn't shut up about CrossFit until everyone around them is doing CrossFit and then they can say, I told you.
Yeah. She'd come home from the gym in the morning. This is when we were doing it. And she'd make us all listen to it, tell us what she did, what movements she was doing, how fast she went.
She'd like stand there and like she'd talk about like doing thrusts and she'd be in the kitchen like, oh yeah, I did these this morning. Yeah, I did some wall balls and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. It must be fucking amazing though. Like imagine her feeling now, like when the two of you are going to it could be one or the other. She could be really pissed off that she didn't go like in age group or something, or she could be really proud that the two of you are going. Like it's kind of is she going to get to go?
She's here. They're here now.
Oh, amazing! Wow, she's there for the whole like lead up and everything.
Yeah. Her and our stepdad are just out looking around the city at the moment.
That's cool. So she'll be in the stands in Madison going like, oh, they did some of these this morning. And
you'll hear her on the live stream.
If you watch Torian, because we were seated right next to the commentator's booth. If you watch the Torian clip, any of the Torian clips that we're in, you'll be able to hear Mum kind of in the side screaming.
And do the two of you coach at the shed? Like you share the workload kind of, is it? Or is there other coaches as well?
I think we have 5 coaches.
Okay.
The majority of the others take about 3 or 4 during the week.
Okay. So how does that leave you time-wise for training then? Are you kind of blessed, do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, I mean, we normally coach 1 or 2 morning ones and then 1 or 2 in the evening. So we do have a good chunk in the middle of the day to try and get things done.
Okay. And then, Madeline, you're doing a PhD, are you?
Yes.
And what's that in?
I'm looking at Maori health. So Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand, Aotearoa. Okay. So you're just looking at their traditional food systems. I won't go into. Oh, don't get me started.
That's kind of funny. I had there's an Irish team that have qualified 80-20, and there's a doctor on their team. And at one point when I interviewed them, she talked about cooking with oil versus cooking with butter for about like 6 minutes. And then it was similar where she was like, why did you ask? Like, why did you send me down this rabbit hole? Yeah. So I won't prize too much. So what's your degree in then? Like, what have you done prior to this?
My undergrad was in geography and environmental science, and I did my honours in geography and development studies. And then this PhD is under the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences, but it's very, it's kind of more social research, so it's very qualitative. So it's not very medical at all. Yeah, I'm not going to be a useful kind of doctor. Just one that can write around.
Sounds like a waste of time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, she has a point. If someone's like dying on a plane, you don't want her standing up saying like, I can tell you about the mountain.
Yeah, no, I won't go.
And what are your aspirations then, like work-wise? Say, what could this lead to, do you think?
So I'm starting to do some work in like Māori research and health equity. So looking at how we can make our health systems and our food systems kind of more equitable for Māori and Pacifica in New Zealand, Aotearoa. So a lot of Indigenous health kind of work, probably with the government, some government advisory stuff. But yeah, I really enjoy the research. So yeah.
That's cool. And how does that leave you with training time then? Are you like the worst out of the group, do you think?
I don't know. We all have kind of different things that we do, but I also have a part-time job because my PhD does not pay the bills.
Okay.
But I love my job. But so I just constantly feel like I've never done enough, whether it's my job, my PhD, or enough training. Trying to fit it in is a little bit stressful, but just for this season, I kind of put training first, which my supervisor's just going to have to deal with. But
what is your job?
I work part-time at a Māori research company in Christchurch, so it's very similar to my PhD.
Okay.
They're amazing. My bosses are super flexible, and they do CrossFit too, so they understand that
Okay.
I'm tired a lot of the time.
You don't need to bring in like Mrs. Fowler to demonstrate what you do so they can
No. I just tell them, like the other day I said, I did 150 toes bar this morning, and they're like, wow, that's so cool, and they let me leave it too, so it's, yeah.
They're like, bring me back a t-shirt, I don't care.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And say prior to, because the two girls, you started CrossFit like 2013 from what I could find, and your first open was like 2016. So did you, we'll say Madeline first, did you do other sport prior to that? Or how did you find CrossFit? Did you happen to walk past the Fowler's house one morning over breakfast?
No, I'm way older than these Fowler boys, so I started a long time ago. I was actually the same as Ben. I was playing rugby, and it was I was doing CrossFit in pre-season, and then that was really, I was like, I feel like I'm going to get injured less than this, and I like the pull-ups and the lunges and running around and stuff. But I played all sorts of sports through high school, so the transition to CrossFit was actually really easy because you do a whole lot of different things. Which I'm used to. So, and I think that's pretty much Marnie's story as well.
Very similar
You
upbringing.
both play rugby.
No, I didn't play rugby. I was more of a rower.
But we both did like lots of different sports at high school, so it's a good transition there.
Oh yeah.
So, like, it's interesting because like all of you could have gone individual like this year and like held your own. I suspect that in comparison to last year, I've nothing to compare the girls to last year, obviously, because you were team last year. But I suspect that the boys, you would have done considerably better this year than you did do last year. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah,
I'd say so.
yeah, definitely.
And of the four of you then, so obviously you decided, so girls after the games, you decided, right, we're going to go team and we're going to go to the shed and we're going to train with them. And then you did the open.
Individual after.
Yeah, we were fully going to go back to individual after the games last year.
Okay, because that's what I was kind of driving at, because you all could have and like could have held your own. So like, how did the team aspect, so Marnie, you haven't spoken much, so you can take this one, but how did the team come to pass then? Because obviously you did team last year, you were quite successful last year, you were just outside the top 10 at the games, it went great. Well, I actually saw two different placings for you. So I saw 6th and I saw 11th, and I don't know why. So I think it was on one of your CrossFit Games pages, I can't remember which order I looked at them. One of you, it says 6th CrossFit Games 2021, and on the other one it says 11th CrossFit Games 2021.
It was sick.
Team.
It was sick.
We were
Okay.
sick.
It's one-on-one and one on the other. One of you says 11 and one of you says 6, but I can't remember which it is. Because I was like, they definitely finished higher than that. But then I was like, I'll just say outside the top 10.
Who was
to
wrong?
clarify.
Yeah,
I actually can't remember. I can't remember which order I looked in. But you guys don't fill it in anyway. It's filled in for E. So someone obviously just fucked up in the clerical position or something. So then, so you finished 6th at the games, not 11th, and you come back and the team disbands or whatever, and that's it, and you're going back
And you're
individual.
like, oh yeah, I'm so excited for individual, because when we're over there, the teams and individuals get treated differently, and so we're
Okay,
like,
hang on. How differently? How do you figure that?
oh, they get Dan Castro like explaining the workout, and then we get these randoms explaining the workout to us. And it's just, I think it's just different. I think it's you, yourself, your people are watching you, and I think, I don't know, it's just, it looks different. The individuals get treated really, really well.
There's definitely more eyes on them.
Yeah.
A bit more prestige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Mads and I were like, oh, yes, let's just try and have a crack next year. And we'll be in a better environment, moving gyms. And so that was our focus. And then we're like, oh, should we just like see what happens with the quarterfinals as a team? And then we ended up placing really well. I think we came like,
fourth. Yeah.
fourth in the world.
Yeah.
So like, oh, it's kind of hard to turn that down. We might have a good crack at maybe getting to the podium at the games, which would be bloody amazing. And also, there's only 3 top spots for Torian for women and men, and it's kind of like a big risk. Like, we might not make the games, but we kind of feel confident that we will make the games as a team.
But I think especially the female side is so stacked.
Yeah.
You're essentially looking at one place. Like, realistically, you're essentially like Tia and Cara were always like, unless something really odd happened, they were always going to go. And then it's like, right, well, there's one place up for grabs really then. And you've got like 5 people, say, this year that could have had it. So yeah, it's difficult. Was there any point, say, after you said, because you had to accept your invitation as a team after quarterfinals, right? And then can you go back after that? Can you be like, oh shit, actually wait? Or is that like, once you've decided, is it just like, okay, decision made?
Confident that we wanted to be team
Yeah.
after
Okay.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And did you put your names down just as for the gym, just to see what happens kind of thing? Or was anybody kind of driving it, do you think?
We kind of had like a thought that we probably would want to from the start, but we just weren't sure how we'd go.
You just didn't tell the girls.
Yeah, so we just put both in. We said we'll just do both and see how we go, and then we can decide after we've done it.
It was quite a mental change to go from, since the end of the games last year, being like, okay, individual, and just really like trying to get your mind into that. And then we caught COVID at the start of the year, or during the Open, real bad. And so it took a little while to be like, okay, we're not quite prepared enough to take on Tia and Cara and Jamie and Ali at Torian. And we've got this fantastic opportunity with these boys who are really good. They've worked together for years. We've worked together for years. And so, by the time we'd done quarterfinals, we were like, this is looking good.
Yeah. So you had been on a team before, and you had been to the games on a team before, and boys, like, you had trained together, but had you done a major team competition? Had you done, it was like, because was Torian your first competition, say like an elite competition?
Yeah. Torian was our first big one.
Okay, so then, like, was there an onus of responsibility on the girls then a bit to be like, no, like, this is the way that things need to run, and this is like is there kind of, because it's kind of like when you're in a relationship with someone and you leave that relationship and start a new relationship, and you're like, well, no, this is the way it used to be. Or when you get a new teacher and you're like, well, our old teacher used to do it this way, and there's kind of was there an adjustment period, do you think?
No, I think me and Ben would kind of look to Mads and Marnie for kind of a bit of guidance, I guess, with the team stuff and how to program them and what to do and the workouts and stuff like that, and especially with the worm, because me and Ben had no idea, so we kind of was hoping that they would know.
Yeah.
These boys are so relaxed though. It was really really easy transition, and we did have some ways that we did stuff last year, but new team, new people, new personalities, so it was a bit it was easy when everyone's chill.
Just gets on with it.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy last year? Because like it's kind of like I feel like okay, maybe you enjoyed finishing sixth or whatever, but just the more you talk, the more you don't say, I kind of feel like that. Okay, is it fair to say that you're enjoying this time around more?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last year was just because it was our first games experience, the biggest competition we've ever done. It was incredible. You know, you get these like how many outfits and all the stuff, and you feel like a celebrity, and you know our whole country was cheering us on, so that was awesome. But definitely the environment and the people this year has made this a very more enjoyable experience,
Especially leading up to the games.
Yeah.
Was it an acrimonious split? Like, was there any animosity after? Was there any kind of arguing or like bitterness about like being abandoned or anything like that?
There's a very long story behind it.
I don't know. I don't know who will be listening to this.
Yeah, but no.
Nobody listens. Don't worry, nobody listens. No, that's fair. I won't push. Okay, I want to talk to you about coffee as well. So you have a coffee shop in the gym, don't you?
Yeah, we just got it.
Outfit, is that it?
3 weeks ago, maybe.
And so the Crispy Dudes put out a video like 2 months ago, maybe. And one of the first questions was your coffee orders. So Luke, you don't drink coffee?
Not really, nah.
Girls, solid. Yeah, like there was a solid. Now, Ben.
Yep.
So you don't really drink coffee. Like, I mean, you know, well, you're on two ends of the spectrum at once, which is just weird. So you have either a long black, which is like, oh, I really fucking love coffee, and then, but if I only have that if I can't have a mocha with marshmallows in it.
No. Wait, when was this?
Oh, and that little video.
You said it was like, what's your go-to coffee order? You're like, oh, a mocha, but only if I can have chocolate and marshmallows in it. And if I can't have that, I'll have a long black. And I was like, what the fuck? This guy's an oxymoron. Like, he's totally contradicting himself.
No. Okay, so normally I make my coffee at home and I'll have a long black with like a little bit of cream.
Okay.
But normally, so if I get takeaway coffees, I normally get the mocha just because it's a safer option. I find if I haven't been to the coffee shop before, I don't really risk it. So yeah, I normally get a mocha. For whatever reason, they've stopped giving out like marshmallows, chocolate fish. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. So now I'm like, all right, this is stupid. So now I just get a long black every time and just go for it. So now I'm just long blacks.
Yeah, they like, to be fair, they probably just decided, okay, there's coffee and there's dessert, and we need to separate the two from each other. That was probably, or else they were like, maybe they made a mistake the first time and thought you were a child and gave you like a baby Chino.
Actually, my brother did that. He ordered he used to drink just hot chocolates the whole time, and then he got a hot chocolate in a clown cup, and he just like when he started, he's like, fuck this, I'm having coffees there, all because of this clown cup that he got.
Yeah. Since then, he's like, I'll have a coffee with some whiskey in it. He just like went swung totally the other way. Yeah. My daughter is like 2, and I bring her to a coffee shop sometimes, and I get a flat white, and I'll ask her like, do you want a coffee? And like a coffee to her is like milk with like marshmallows and chocolate, basically what Ben drinks. But it's like milk with marshmallows and chocolate in it or whatever. But obviously, like, I know that, and the barista knows that, and she knows that, but other people don't know that. So like we walked into the shop once, and she was like, it's coffee time, like from or whatever. And then and again, like the three of us in our little triangle know, but there was a woman in there with like her kids, and I was like, oh, I'll have a flat white. And then I said, like, do you want a coffee? And she goes, yeah. And then he was like, do you want a coffee? And she's like, yeah, I'll have a coffee. And the woman was fucking horrified. Like, she was like, what is going on? And it wasn't until I was like, I know she's freaking out, but I'm not clearing it up for her. Like, it's none of her business either way. I could be giving her whiskey for all she knows. Like, so, but yeah, she was like, this is crazy. And then when she saw the milk, she was like, oh, that's okay. So yeah, I've kind of just let that run because I like the idea of people thinking that I'm giving. And like, caffeine is the fucking last thing she needs, but still. So the other thing that came out of that video, apart from the chocolate fish and marshmallows, you were asked if you have a coach, and you said you don't have a coach.
We actually do.
Well,
We have
Okay.
a coach now.
Since then,
He's our friend.
is he wearing shorts?
He is really
Because it looked like he was totally naked when you moved the camera the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Because so you were just kind of like programming for yourselves and training yourselves up until when?
Oh, we still do all that. He basically just holds the water. He's our water boy.
Okay.
He's down as coach, but yeah.
Okay. So he's your coach in the way that I was a coach at Strength and Depth, where someone just gave me a wristband and I was like, oh cool, I can go back. Okay. Yeah.
He does look at our he does our photography and stuff.
Yeah, I saw his stuff is good.
Nice.
But no, he does like look at our reps and stuff, and he'll be like, "Oh, such and such is a little bit quicker on the toaster bar. You know, watch out for the timing on that. Just little stuff like that."
Yeah, and you're like, shut the fuck up and get me another water. Is he related to you as well?
He's what, sorry?
Is he related to you? No.
No. He goes to our gym. It's Bailey. He competed at Torian.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. I have you now. Yeah.
There are
All right.
older brothers though, so you're only seeing half of them.
Okay. They're into MMA or something, is it?
No, they both do CrossFit as well. One's in Auckland at the moment studying, and the other one just still lives at home with us, but he's got back problems.
Okay. And there is a link to MMA though, isn't there? Do you do it in
No,
like,
we
fun?
just like watching UFC, and I guess we occasionally fight, but it's fun. We don't really know what we're doing. We just
Oh yeah. So it's like over the remote kind of thing. It's not like an actual.
I mean, yeah, sure.
So you follow. Who does your programming then? Do you program for yourselves or do you follow something?
We follow Mayhem Athlete. So me and
Okay.
Ben have done it for about 3 years, and the ladies have jumped on since they've been at our gym.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Luke calls all females ladies and it makes us feel so old.
Does he call you ma'am when he's like? Okay. How did you end up starting Mayhem? Why did you pick Mayhem, and why have you stuck with it since?
I guess at the time when me and Ben started, there wasn't too much else around. And I mean, when Rich Froning's promoting something, you think it must be good. So we jumped on that and have been on it ever since and really enjoy it.
And you've never reached out to like Facundo or to someone and asked?
Well, they have to us a few times just with what they're going to do, like for programming wise. Like Jake Lockett's messaged me a few times and he sent us some gear last year. They're trying to help out with the team stuff, like they've put team programming on the sugar water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I feel like on the team side, there's not a lot on there, which is fine because it's not promoted as a team program. But for most of the time, we do. We just as a team just program our team sessions and do
So
that.
individually, you follow Mayhem Athlete, and then when you come together, you do like, okay, what might come up? What do we need to work on together? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So how much, say, if you have whatever 6 training days a week, I assume 5, 6. Okay, so how many of those days are solo, and how many are as a group?
We kind of do usually solo sessions in the morning and then team sessions 4 afternoons a week.
I think so far we've been up to Torian. We only did
Obviously now you're doing all.
Yeah. So all team sessions now. So after Torian we got a running coach and we did swimming. So we've been swimming and running on Thursdays together. And then, like Mad said, just doing team stuff every afternoon.
Had you done much swimming before that?
Yeah. We normally swim every Thursday, just more of an active recovery thing, and trying to move while I guess recovering, less impact in the gym.
Swimming is fucking hard. Like swimming is like, like it's. I went for a run today, right, and it's the first time I've ran in ages. And I remember I was supposed to do a half marathon around like Paddy's Day, and I got COVID like 2 days before, so I was like, oh great, I can't do it. But I remember sending a video. I had like a hip issue, and I sent a video to one of my friends, and I was like, what's the story? And he was like, oh, you've got a bit of heel strike. So then when I went out running today, I was thinking like, oh, I need to fix that thing. I need to run different. And then it's like it's so fucking hard to fix running when you're running. Like you're like, oh, I need to run with my legs different than I always did, like since I was a child. And then like when you do that in swimming, I remember going swimming the first time, and I was like, okay, I'll just do some lengths. And I like was swimming, and there's so much to think about when you start first, where you're like, when do I breathe? What way do I turn? Do I always turn it the same way? And then it's like, how off? And then you get so out of breath, because by the time you get to the end, you've essentially held your breath. Like loads of times I turn my head and be like, oh, that was perfect. I really rolled there. It was so good. And then I put my face back in and be like, I forgot to breathe. And then like I do the same thing the next time. So is like swimming a thing in New Zealand? Like had you done it anyway, and you were just kind of like fine tuning more so than like putting on a hat for the first time kind of thing?
Yeah, we're all pretty decent swimmers. Like we'll be looking forward to a swim event, but I think in New Zealand, lots of people know how to swim.
Yeah,
because
pretty
we live
much.
very far
Yeah,
from the beach.
as kids, everyone learns to swim pretty much. So we already knew how to.
Yeah, I mean, I knew how to swim as well. I just didn't know how to do it effectively.
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't like wearing armbands or anything.
we've got a friend who actually holds the world record for swimming the Cook Strait between the North and South Island of New Zealand, and he came along and taught us a few things, pack swimming and what to do when it's the hectic, when everyone dives in.
Yeah, because that looks like the absolute worst. Like
Yeah.
that, there's nothing.
I had a panic attack last year because
say.
that reason.
Just the game.
There's too many people. Like we all had to line up for
40 minutes?
40 minutes just ready to go.
Yeah.
And you get in a panic because you don't know when we're going to go. And then all of a sudden the buzzer goes, boop, and so we all rush into the water at once, and there's like, all the teen girls. And it was just panicky. I panicked and I couldn't swim. I had to swim on my back.
Not this year. Please not this year.
I'm going to redeem myself this year.
So because like I'd say if you learn a lot about yourself in a workout like that, and a lot about other people, it would be really hard if someone because I know there was a lot of stuff. I remember I watched the documentary there like the other week, and there's a lot of stuff about like people crawling over people and people getting kicked in the face and all that kind of stuff, and like it'd be very hard not to get pissed off.
Yeah.
And then you also learn how you handle that kind of situation. Like it'd be very easy. It would be very easy to get pissed off. It'd be very easy to let that derail things. Or it'd be very easy to be like pulling people back and be like, fuck you crawling over me. That's my worst nightmare, doing a mass swim. But I'm sure it'll be great for you guys. It'll be no problem. It'll be amazing.
We're going to roll over people. We got we got taught how to roll over people.
So like if two people kind of like cut you off, we got taught how to kind of spin to the side so that you don't just kind of get pushed to the back.
Okay.
But I think easier said than done, especially for us. I'm no coach. I had a coach's wristband, so this is as good as it gets. Another thing you could do is if they're wearing like a top, they might not be. Maybe they're just wearing shorts. Just hook your fingers in their shorts and then let them carry. So like you'll tire them out. So that's a win. And then you'll save your own energy. And then once they like start drowning, you can just kick on and
go to the next person.
Yeah. Just catch up to the next person. Do it again. It's like extreme drafting.
Yeah.
Think of it as, when you see people on a skateboard holding on to the back of like Marty McFly and Back to the Future holding on to the back of the truck. It's basically just the swimming version of that, except people might drown. So do you think you might get a coach? Okay, it's probably a bit weighty when the games hasn't happened yet, but is this sticking around? Is this group of four, like, are you eyeing up 2023, do you think?
Not as a team. No, we definitely, I know for me, definitely individual. I think you guys are all the same. We all want to go individual. That's kind of where the main goal is individual. So
is this year used? Because I know, like, say, Sam Cornier was like going team with the view of it will help my individual career afterwards. Is that the same for you guys, or are you doing it because it's like you'll be able to have been at the games and hopefully podium or do well? Is like, which one is that, do you think?
For me, it's because there was very little chance of qualifying as an indie for the games, whereas there was a very good chance of qualifying for the games again in the team. So that was kind of, for this year, and then hopefully by next year we've got more spots, or some of the top women retire. I don't know what's going to happen, but it was for me. It was the toss of going to the games or not.
Yeah. Do you think you'll get coaches then? Like, are you? Because you seem to be taking it more and more seriously. Like, it's okay. Obviously, you're having fun with it and stuff, but you seem to be like heading towards the top of the pyramid with regards to professionalizing yourselves. Would that be fair? Like, do you think that you'll take a coach on?
Well, me, Marnie and Matt, we got a weightlifting coach, just because that's where I feel I struggle the most with weightlifting. So I thought I definitely want to coach with that. And I think more just specialized stuff as opposed to having an all-round CrossFit coach would be better for me. I think I'd rather kind of be in my own head and have myself for the CrossFit, and then if there's things like swimming, running, weightlifting, if I feel like I need extra help on that, then I'll get a coach for that specific thing, versus just having one person that looks over me the entire time. But we'll see. It could be,
Okay, so you mentioned at the start there how last year it was a bit frustrating that the individual versus the team, that it was a very different experience, or you felt like it was a very different experience anyway from your end. This year, I don't ever remember teams being talked about as much in the lead up to any CrossFit games. But I was curious, as a team who have aspirations to do well and have aspirations to podium and to kick up a bit of dust and to cause some problems, and who finished fourth in the quarterfinals and podiumed in the semifinals and are like on the right track, does it piss you off that the only teams being talked about are Mayhem and Reykjavik, that there isn't like that the focus, I guess that the spotlight that's on them hasn't spilled to other, apart from like, you know, great people like me, hasn't spilled to other teams? Like, okay. And is that like
last year when we spent thousands of dollars going over to America, and we were so proud to represent New Zealand. New Zealand was so proud of us and our team, and then the whole time they just filmed Mayhem, even when we beat them in a workout. So there's definitely a focus on those top teams, but it might be different this year because Oslo is also looking really good. So
yeah, you've got like Oslo. You guys, Invictus didn't do particularly well at semi-final. Like I wasn't like floored by them or anything.
Didn't they, in the Granite Games?
Say again?
They won the Granite Games, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't know, like just like just from, I don't know, there was a lot of like look, I'm not an analyst, but just from looking at them competing together, there was a lot of like, oh, that's a bit like, why are they not synchronizing properly, or why are they, like there was just a lot of kind of, and I'm sure they have time. Look, they have time to fix those things, and they all seem like to be on the same page and everything. But I don't know, like just from watching them, I'm kind of like, I see Reykjavik as like a unit, and they're working together, and they all seem to be really into it and really into each other and stuff. And I see the same thing from you guys, and I see the same thing from Mayhem, and I just don't see that with Invictus, of like that kind of just unity of, I just feel like if the wheels come off, the whole fucking thing is going to derail for them.
Yeah,
whereas I feel like
goes wrong in the workout, then it's hard to, if you're not all kind of in sync.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had a little bit of that at Torian on that first workout. The burpees were traveling all over the place. I mean, I feel like we were all kind of like, what the fuck's going on sort of thing. And it was really hard to get back into what we were used to doing, staying in sync and stuff. Because we hadn't been together too long at that time.
Do you like, okay, like you say it's going to be different, but I kind of worried that it's just going to be a shot of Khan, a shot of Sam, a shot of Annie, a shot of Rich, a shot of Annie, a shot of Rich, like just back and forth.
I think some of it's deserved though. I feel like it. I mean, obviously not as much as it is, and I think especially even on the individual side, they need to do a better job of showing what's going on in the event versus just showing the biggest name the whole time. But I think for the teams, it just shows how much of a bigger spotlight is on the individuals, because both of those teams have Annie and Rich, who are huge names in the individual field, come across the teams, and now the spotlight's on them again. Versus a team like Invictus, who's actually been around for ages, pretty consistent on the team side, but relatively unknown. I think it's just the individual field. It's just a spotlight on them.
I kind of hope it's different. I hope there's a lot of things different about the coverage, to be honest, because like you say, I remember last year, the skier workout, and they were obviously like, say on the individual side, they're obviously like, Laura's going to do well in this. And then it was kind of like, right, but they're on a skier now. So can we like zoom out? Like, can we see like relative to Laura where everyone else is, rather than just watching Laura's head going up and down for like 3 minutes and then moving on to like it gets to, or like the toes to bar where it's like the mile or whatever, mile and a half toes to bar, that workout. And it's
they lose the sports side of it. I feel like you're
just watching one person do toes to bar, and you're like, I have no fucking clue who's on the bar near them. I don't know who's back, who's still running. Someone could be dead, and I'm just looking at this person doing toes to bar. So I don't know, but I think what happens largely, from what I understand, is the analysts say this person will do really well in this, and this could be a big battle, and this person needs to do well in this, so maybe throw an eye on them. And then someone pulls ahead, but it's kind of like, okay, well, say for example Tia, like that, yoke carry workout where she did it like stupidly fast. Like Castro was like, oh, that's not possible. Fuck, she did it. Whereas like after that, then it's like, okay, you showed her crossing the line, now go back to the action. And it's like, no, we're just going to stick the camera here. For like,
did it a lot,
and it's kind of like, come on, like we want to see, I don't want to see someone drinking Monster water. I want to see who's going to finish. Like Emma McQuaid, I think, finished just behind her. Well, like around behind her, whatever. Nothing. You could just see her in the background of Tia, like crossing the line. And Tia was just like awkwardly in front of the camera, where she's kind of like, you've been on me too long. You need to move on. So there's a good bit of stuff like that. Do you use it as like fuel? Are you kind of like, okay, well, if you aren't talking about us in the lead up, you're going to talk about us on like from like say day 2 onwards, because is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, you want to make them look
you got to win events. You got to be in the front. I feel like if we can prove that we're up there with both the teams and we can actually put in a good race, then there's no reason that they won't be watching us, especially going into day 2.
Yeah. Because I spoke to Khan at Strength and Depth, and he's obviously aware of you guys just from Torian and from, like from last year and everything. He just have his finger on the pulse, I guess. And I know he's like, concerned is probably the wrong word, but I know he's like, got an eye on you coming over the horizon, whereas I assume there's other teams who will just be blissfully unaware and just think, well, if we can just beat Iceland and Mayhem, we'll be doing great. And then they're forgetting about Oslo and they're forgetting about you guys. And, like it is interesting, like, because, and it's hard, even you can see it from the analysts when they're talking about teams, it's hard because the roster changes for a team. So like you mentioned Invictus, it's like pretty much a whole new Invictus from last year. So it's hard to say, well, they did well last year, so this year, or they didn't do well last year, so this, like it's hard for teams to know who to look out for, I guess. So it makes it more compelling.
If you don't have, like, we're very lucky to have like Bailey and the crispy dudes, or else we just wouldn't have any content, wouldn't have anything, because there's just nothing. I mean, I guess maybe it's region as well, like it's pretty hard to get people down to New Zealand, but if we didn't have them, we'd have just nothing to put out and no one would know anything about us aside from when we compete. So,
and when you're on this show, but whatever.
But
and
you're a charitable podcast.
But that was from the crispy dudes as well. So it's like,
I was actually saying to Callum, I was like, I will pretend that you guys that they didn't tell me anything, and that I just randomly discovered you on my own. I was like, I can't do it to him. Okay, what are your aspirations then? So what have you got? I know it's difficult to say like we want to finish 5th or we want to finish 2nd, or it's because you don't know what the workouts are, you don't know what potential strengths or weaknesses are going to show up or whatever. But like, say end of August, after your team career is paused or finished or whatever, what would a successful games experience be, do you think?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because I think the teams are all a lot better this year. So even if we came 6th again, I think that would be a bigger achievement than 6th last year, because the teams pool, like we saw it in Torian this year, the teams were so much better.
Yeah.
I would say personally top 5.
I'd love for us to stay in the top heap because you get such an advantage, and it's just cooler. So how many are in
the top heap? It's good call.
Yeah,
I would say places aside, I think if we can like compete against like Rich's team and the Iceland team and stuff like that, if we can actually compete with them and be with them for the whole weekend versus them kind of running ahead and then us just competing with, I don't know,
ourselves.
Yeah, well, just the way back in like 15th or something like that, then I'd say that's a big win. Just competing with 1st, 2nd, just the top 5 really.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about that was when Madeline said top 5. She looked across a group of like, is that okay? Is that?
Yeah, you don't want to get too. You just don't know. We want to win it. Yeah.
Do you ever talk about that side of it? About like, say, the psychological side of it? About like, because obviously, like this is the biggest stage you boys have ever been on, and girls, you were there before in like a very different year, I suppose. But do you ever do you talk to each other about like nerves or about like, say, like before when you were in the lead up to Torian, were you talking about like, oh, I'm shitting it, or do you just bottle that up and deal with it individually?
I think I tell Matt how I'm feeling.
Because usually, I'm just thinking, because usually it would be your coach. Like it's usually the coach would sit down with people one-on-one and go through like fears or concerns. And Bailey was obviously busy at Torian, so.
These boys are just so calm. And
I think we got like partners and stuff, and our mum's super good as well. Like if we're feeling, nervous and shit, she'll, although sometimes she adds to the nerves, I guess. She gets nervous too, but maybe I'll talk to Bailey at the games if I get nervous. He can help me out.
He can just take a good picture of you and make it all go away.
You can take a picture and throw me a water bottle, and then I'll be sweet.
What's your plans then? So you're in Chicago now. You've been there for like 2 days.
2 days.
Are you staying there? Like, when do you leave there?
So we're here for another 9 or 10 nights, and then we head up to Madison after that.
Okay, and that's what, like 2 days before then, is it? 3 days before?
I think
We get like 5
it's
days.
like 5.
Yeah, I'm just shit at maths and calendars. And where have you somewhere lined up to train in Madison then, around that area?
I think so. I think Mum sorted it.
Mum's the manager.
So.
Okay. She sorted all of this out. So yeah, she sorted out gyms and stuff for us to go to. So
that's cool. I should have messaged her because I had to get Callum to. I had to get Callum to give you a nudge. I was like, "Can you give me?" He was like, "Yeah, he's shit at social media." I should have messaged your mum first.
Oh yeah, because you messaged me. Yeah, but I asked the team sort of thing, and I was waiting for them to reply. So
yeah,
because they messaged me on the I remember that.
I mean, you say that, but it wasn't seen until after Callum had, and until after I had messaged Callum to tell you.
You can see it I don't want to make you feel bad. You can swipe down on the thing and see what the message said. So you don't actually.
You left me unseen.
No, well, not technically. It didn't say.
Yeah, I mean, I was. God, that's probably as close as I'll come to any of those catfish kind of things. I was just left. I was like,
well, you got me in there.
Oh my God, that's just really shattered my confidence. There's so many people that I've messaged about coming on and they've never seen the message, and now I'm like, wait, did they see it and just like delete it and not actually open it? Fuck you. Thanks for making me start going down that rabbit hole. Okay, are you concerned about I know you're going to get an email. Apparently you're going to get an email. You'll have gotten it by the time this comes out. I think the end of this week as we record, like Friday, you're supposed to be getting an email, according to Boz anyway, about like, and he told me in the interview I did with him that everyone's going to know everything. So before you get to Madison, you're going to know if there's cuts, how many cuts, who's going to, like, when they're going to happen, all that kind of stuff in advance. Are you concerned about that kind of stuff? Are you concerned about, like, say if there's a cut after workout 1? Because, like, you know, it's kind of difficult.
That was a silly idea.
I'm not concerned.
I'm not worried for cuts. I think how they did last year was good. I think cuts are a good thing as long as they don't do them too early, because it keeps, I guess, the pressure on everyone to make that number that they're going to cut it.
Yeah, well, it makes it interesting too, because say if the cuts are delayed, it makes it interesting because you have. Did you just ask were there cuts last year?
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the cuts that they did when they had the national champions.
Oh no, yeah. Well, there was also cuts. God, you were in a privileged position last year to be like, oh, was there people cut? I didn't even realize.
So I hope that's us this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have to.
Yeah, it's like really drastic cuts, and you're like, what cuts? There's no cuts. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So that was one of the interesting things he said, that everyone will know in advance. He said obviously there's some people, like say Roman is in Madison for the last like year or whatever, but he was like most people will know before they get to Madison, so that I assume he's saying that so that people who are like coming from whatever really far away can be like, oh man, I'm never going to finish in the top whatever, I'm just not going. Like, I'm sure people wouldn't actually do that, but just if they'd have the option, I guess it was his point. And the other thing he said that was interesting, and I don't know if he was including teams on this, but he said that one of the workouts everyone's going to do. So I heard him saying this in the CrossFit Games podcast, and I thought he meant I'll be able to do it at home. You know, that kind of way. Like that would be like something that the games athletes will do and I will do. But I asked him and he was like, no, like everyone's going to, like the age groups, it's the same workout. And I don't know if he was including teams on that, because it's kind of like, unless you do a waterfall kind of thing, I don't know how it'd be kind of tricky to mimic an individual workout. But yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. I'm kind of giving you information without actually giving you any information there, so I'm probably just making things worse. Okay. I'm excited for you. Like, I'm really excited for you. I think I got excited about you when I was talking to Can, and I mentioned we were talking about it, the mayhem, you know, that kind of thing, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's all well and good saying mayhem, but he was like, I mean, Oslo, like, he's like, they could do really well in a runner, like they're really good runners, like, you know, he's like, there's stuff like that. And I mentioned your team, and he's like, oh fuck yeah, like, you know, it's kind of like that's when I was kind of like, okay, like, you know, Callum wasn't just saying that they're great because he knows them. Like, you know, I think it's exciting. It's exciting just seeing the width of the team scene, I guess. But yeah, look, we'll finish with a quick fire. So they're all about each other.
Okay.
So you have to like nominate a person. So you can each just name the person, I guess. Who has the worst taste in music?
Ben.
No, I have the best taste in music. Madeline, definitely Madeline. Madeline, god damn, hers is all from like 2010. Garbage.
Do you mean the band garbage, or the music is shit?
Literal garbage. It's horrible.
We're 8 years older than Ben? Yeah. So
what kind of stuff from 2010? 2010. Is that like last...
All of my stuff's from 1960 something.
I don't think he knows who Usher is. Or T-Pain.
Okay, yeah, you do have the shittest taste in music. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, good.
Your two cherry-picked examples. It only goes down here. Who has the worst dress sense?
Madeline, she's got spilled. She spilled coffee on her shirt.
She complimented her shirt today.
I'm pretty sure it's a stained shirt.
Are you talking like in the gym or outside the gym?
Just in general. I mean, you can have a really good fashion sense and just be clumsy. Like, if she's just clumsy, that's different than just having poor taste in clothes.
Well, outside of the gym, it would definitely be me being worst.
Okay,
we have no clothes, but not in the gym.
Oh, you see, just wear like a Kill Cliff t-shirt out. Yeah, okay, Who's the fittest?
Like different
We'll say like monostructurally. Who's the fittest in like a?
Yeah, Ben and
And
Marnie. Ben and Marnie.
Okay.
It'll be the body.
Who's the strongest?
Being a body.
Look.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
jeez Louise.
Yeah. Calm down, Luke. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Okay. Who'd be the best in a sprint? Like a
Yeah.
21:59, just blackout.
Oh, probably one of these two because they're relatively short. Range of motion.
Yeah, if it's like thrusters or pull-ups.
Yeah,
or
if it's
whatever.
Fran, I
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Luke
Luke
and
Luke.
That was actually my prediction for the workout that everyone can do. Fran.
That'll be good.
I'd like
You run under 5'5".
Mm.
But I said that to Taylor Self, and he was like, "Nah." He's like, "It's not entertaining enough." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a valid point, actually."
Really? It'd be a good race. I mean, as long as they don't film one person, it's entertaining enough.
But they will. Who's the most marketable?
Well, one of the girls, obviously.
We do the most social media. We've been trying to get the boys to do more.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at like some athletes, and I think like, God, why have they not got more followers? Like, why have they not got more? Like, do you put any effort into your social media, boys?
I put a little bit.
Ben's doing
I
very
try
well at the
to,
moment.
but like videoing myself and whatever is like the last thing I think about when I'm doing a workout.
That's what your coach is for.
Yeah, he's giving me some photos and stuff. I just got to get around to posting them.
Yeah, no, I think I'm doing better, but I feel like, as you know, I won't say.
It's kind of the part of the athlete game that you don't think about when all you want to do is work out, but
Yeah.
you realize that you've got to play the Instagram game.
Yeah, so I think especially with next year in mind, I think it could be worth investing, especially now in the lead up to the games when there's big hype and and you've got loads of opportunities for content and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a good time to maybe in your downtime
Yes.
start thinking about it.
Yeah, I play this every day, all right?
Would you rather an all four, like an all four workout, or pairs of two and then pairs of two? You know what I mean? Would you rather have a workout where it's like the 4 year working simultaneously, or would you rather have a workout where it's 2 and 2?
Yeah, I think
Probably
peers.
peers, yeah.
Is that just because it's less variables, less
I
communication
feel like
required?
all of us have different weaknesses and stuff. So if you're peers, you're less likely to hit that weakness. Like, for example, if Luke sucks on, he doesn't, but let's say he sucks on muscle ups. Every time he's muscle ups, we're going to be waiting for Luke. Whereas if it's peers, I'll wait for Luke and the peers, but then these two can smash out the muscle ups when it's peers.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better. Just you don't have to slow everyone down for one person's weakness if it's peers.
And I think as well, if it was like male, female peers, me and Madeline have very similar strengths and weaknesses, and so do Ben and Marnie. So we wouldn't really slow each other down.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's all in a 4, I can't echo bike for shit. So all 3 of them are waiting for me.
Do you two ever fight, the brothers? Like, do you ever
Never.
argue?
I bicker a lot.
Yeah.
Nah, not really. We're all good. If someone gets heated, just give them 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Is
I don't think I could be on any kind of team with my brother. So yeah. Well, look, it's been great getting to talk to you. Like, thanks a million for taking the time out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Chicago and when you go to Madison, and I hope you have the experience that you all deserve this year at the games, and that it sets you up nicely for next year and beyond as well, because I think it's, like I say, it's exciting to see the breadth in the team's field. And I think a lot of people, if they're not aware of you now, I think they're definitely going to be aware come the middle of the CrossFit Games week. So best of luck and enjoy it.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
very
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
having
Nice
us.
to meet you.